Welcome to The Lowdown, the newest podcast from Belden Communications, hosted by yours truly, Wayne Belden, president of Belden Communications, and co-hosted by my son, John Belden, vice president of Belden Communications. Listen on the first Friday of each month to The Lowdown as John and I chat and get candid with those in the know about the hottest issues affecting all of us in Volusia and Flagler Counties. We'll sometimes get loud and sometimes hilarious, but always educational and informational about the challenging aspects of issues facing us all. Which topics will we cover and who will be our guests? You'll just have to listen to find out. You can hear our podcast on your favorite podcast app on the first Friday every month at 2 p.m. Be sure to tune in because whatever topic we're covering, we'll be giving you The Lowdown. Welcome to The Lowdown, a podcast created with you in mind, and as I said in the open, it is our hope to bring you The Lowdown, your need-to-know podcast on the first Friday of each month, where we talk about the hottest issues with pertinent guests that affect all of us in Volusia and Flagler Counties. We hope to be able to have guests on our podcast with direct influence on the issues at hand and get something done or at least help to get issues resolved. So let's get things started by introducing my co-host, my son John, who is vice president of Belden Communications. John, welcome to The Lowdown. Happy to have you with me.
Hey, man, it's always a good time. Going to have some good conversation, and happy Friday. I'm excited to get rolling. So today's podcast actually is brought to you by Country Inn and Suites by Radisson and Port Orange. And actually with us, before we get into that, is our producer, Phil Bird. How you doing there, Mr. Phil?
Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Man, Friday.
Yes.
That's the way to put it, man. So here at Country Inn and Suites, Radisson here in Port Orange, you can soak up the Florida sun at Country Inn and Suites by Radisson and Port Orange, conveniently located just off I-95 and only minutes from the beach. Country Inn and Suites by Radisson Port Orange makes a great launching pad for your Florida beach vacation. The whole family can play in the surf at beautiful New Smyrna Beach or enjoy roller coasters and go-karts at Daytona Beach's 3 amusement parks, all less than 12 miles from the hotel. NASCAR fans don't want to miss the races at the iconic Daytona International Speedway, while bargain hunters can score deals at nearby Tanger outlets. For a change of pace, climb to the top of Florida's tallest lighthouse at Ponce de Leon Inlet for stunning coastal views. For more information, book your stay now, guys. Go to portorangeconnection.com/Country Inn and Suites. So we thank our sponsor, and we're excited to have our conversation here today on The Lowdown.
Right, and today we're honored to have as our guest Sherrise Boyd, who worked previously for the county's Emergency Medical Services Division, where she also served as its Diversity and Inclusion Representative, and she filed to run for the Volusia County Council at-large seat on February 2nd of this year. She previously ran unsuccessfully against incumbent Daytona Beach Mayor Derek Henry, and she is founder and CEO of her own consulting firm, Sherrise Boyd Enterprise. We are also honored to have as our guest today on The Lowdown, Andy Kelly, a familiar face to the Volusia County Council, and he's the former county councilman, District Number 1 county councilman, and he filed to run for the at-large seat on April 29th. He was born and raised in DeLand and was elected to the council in 2007 and served until 2012 when he unsuccessfully ran for supervisor of elections. He also ran for District 1 again in 2014, and in 2018 was elected to the Soil and Water Conservation District. Andy Kelly is an accountant of 45 years and owns Betty W. Kelly Accounting in DeLand with his wife. In fairness, though, we want to mention that we did reach out to all the candidates that are running for Volusia County Council at large seat, which also includes former Port Orange City Manager Jake Johansson and Doug Pettit of Ormond Beach, a retired Lieutenant Colonel of the United States Marines. The Lowdown reached out to both Mr. Johansson and Mr. Pettit, and we were told that they were both not available. So with that, we want to welcome you guys, and thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule, I'm sure, at this time of the year, to be with us and to go over and talk over some of these major talking points. And what I'm going to do is I've got 6 talking points that I want to address, and I'm going to start with you on the first one, and on the second one, I'll start with Andy, and then rotate as we go down. And the first thing that I want to find out, I'm dying to find out, is why are there political affiliations being announced for various candidates involved in a nonpartisan race? For a local race, that's not supposed to be happening.
No, it is not. And what I'll say is it's not just not supposed to be unannounced, but they're also using it to their leverage, meaning to bring other people in their same party on. So, unfortunately, everybody doesn't respect democracy as it's written. They want to do it their way. And that's why we have to work to get people in here who understand, respect it, and won't manipulate the system.
Okay, Andy?
Well, that's important. We're running at a nonpartisan position. All county positions, all 7 seats are nonpartisan. We have to represent everybody.
Right.
Not a party, not my party, not another party, not no party. We have to represent you, everybody. So here we are running. Unfortunately, some people think that partisanship is more important than just general and overall representation.
See, and I don't like that because as somebody that I'm not plugged in at times as I should have been in some of these political points. But I don't think that if you really want to know the point, forget about if there's a D next to it, an R next to it. You got to just listen to what's going on and try to figure out who the best person is to represent it. Amen. And I think it mucks up the water having that all next to it.
Yeah, I mean, for example, Governor DeSantis, he endorsed Dr. Fred Lowery for his high school board campaign. And to me, that is he breaks the rules right there with that one.
My opinion, and this is what I would love to see happen, Nikki Fried, she's running, of course, for governor, and I think she's going to work on something like that. My opinion is we should not allow any sitting elected official to endorse anyone running for office, because what that does is it gives a false sense of security. Right. You're literally running on someone's coattail of their accomplishments or perceived accomplishments. Like, I want people to stand on their own 2 feet, deal with the issues, address it, and let the voters choose.
But honestly, and you guys know what I'm talking about. You go and you vote, and you get the Scantrons. Most of the people have no clue what their people's platform is. They just go, okay, D, or R. And it's like that right there. And honestly, and then I'll shut up. I kind of think you should be required to take a test before you can vote. Honestly, I really do, because
you're getting to that point.
You got people. I'm just being honest, because you got people who have no clue what they're doing. They're just
2 major things are going on in the county right now. Our county chairman has endorsed 4 candidates. Of course, unfortunately, he is a R.
Right.
He's endorsed 4 Rs. And here we are running at large against one of those.
Right.
At the same time, last night, the Republican Executive Committee had a meeting, and they decided they're going to endorse one of the 2 of their own party members. And this should not be a partisan issue.
Okay, so what can be done about this?
It is not supposed to be this way. It is not. In the past, you were never, ever as a candidate allowed to state your partisan. You were not allowed to
in a
say
nonpartisan,
whatever, in a nonpartisan race. I mean, we couldn't do it. And now it's like certain parties are saying everybody needs to know who they represent. No,
it doesn't.
We can't but we can tell people what we are, because it's public record.
But we don't advertise.
We don't.
We cannot. Yeah.
And I'm going to put y'all on to something that really happened. I went to a meeting. It was hosted by Republicans in DeLand, and this is my hand to God. It was Paul Zimmerman, Ken Smith, David Sosa, Walter Bailey, and Doug Pettit. They were all up there, and this is my hand to God. They basically were asked questions from the audience, and except for David Sosa, pretty much the rest didn't know the answers. And what stunned me was one of the people in my race, Doug, his exact answers were, I don't know, but I'll learn. I just downloaded the charter. Did you know it was 47 pages? And his words were, I am running to support this guy. And he pointed at the chair, Jeff Brower, who was in the room, and he said, I'm running to support his platform. He didn't say agenda, and everybody clapped. 2 days or 3 days later, he gets endorsed by Jeff Brower. I'm disturbed because you literally heard a man say he doesn't know anything.
right.
And you're endorsing him because he's supporting you. So what he's trying to do, in my opinion, or logically thinking, is line the dice with all R's, which is so disappointing, to be honest, that you can't just let the race run itself.
Yeah.
Worse is that there's 6 R's on there now, and they're not voting in the position of the chairman. So, but yet he wants to continue to stack
That's
the
what
cars.
they want.
That's so unusual.
It's called stacking the deck.
It's so unusual, but apparently he does have their backing. And I don't want to say puppets, but I would hate to see a puppet in the council. Last time we need.
And I would not say this publicly if it didn't happen.
Right.
I was in the room.
So there is no complaint that can be filed or anything like that?
Too many hands are in it, it sounds like.
You can definitely do it if there's certain things, but it has to go against
Criteria.
the candidate. Cannot, exactly. Other people, unfortunately, can do and say, but yeah, there are rules.
You know, this sounds to me like
not
what
do it.
this sounds to me like everything that's going on a federal level.
Of course.
Everything is getting ramrodded through.
It's just being
whether
mimicked.
it's legal or not.
They're mimicking what they're seeing on the higher levels and going, okay, let's do it locally now.
Correct.
And it's unfortunate. And this is the problem with politics, in my opinion. This is why it's so unfortunate. Everybody comes out and says, I'm going to be different. Da, 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 da. And then what happens is their hands get paid off by this person, that person. I mean, again, for somebody like myself, I shouldn't care what party you are.
Correct.
What are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for the community? And it's all, I mean, it is.
Or what have you done?
100%.
That's important.
And you know where I get even sick? I have a daughter that's in middle school, okay? She's 13 years old. She goes to one of the middle schools locally. And I see children at middle school wearing political affiliation. I know darn well those kids don't know the first thing. It's their parents are going to wear this.
Correct.
And there's no place for that. So this is so
No.
deeper than just this conversation.
Yeah, and for and many of our listeners out there, okay, this is an issue that whether you are an R or a D, we should all be very, very concerned about. This is not the way our forefathers wanted this country to run by doing these kinds of things. So we all have a responsibility to stand up and make your voice heard. Your vote will do it, but make it heard even before the vote, and let them know that you're not happy about this stuff. We shouldn't be concerned with there's a guy an R or a D.
Right.
That should not be
Or
happening
female.
at all.
Amen.
Or female.
Or female, or I. I mean, they could run it as independent too,
yeah.
right? So
No,
it
NPAs.
just drives me nuts because what happens is the cause, the purpose, it gets lost.
Yes.
It's just okay. Well, are you Republican or Democrat? That's how I know I'm going to. And like honestly, okay, you're registered as a Democrat. You're registered as a Republican. Why? I don't know. Because my parents were, so I followed suit. Like, you don't even know what the heck they're standing for. Honestly, most of these people that I talk to, they don't know. They repeat what they hear on TV, but they don't really know for their situation what's best. And
Social media is not our friend when it comes to
Yeah,
things like
it's-
this, especially people, the uneducated. They follow suit, and unfortunately, that's one of the platforms I push is an educated community is a threat to poor leadership. So, for example, I've just told y'all what happened. I've educated y'all, so now you can actually threaten that poor leadership by not supporting that cause because like these people don't know what they're talking about. They're admitting they don't know the answers.
Right.
So now you know that I've educated you. What do you do? And that not all the Republicans are following their suit, though. There are some who are running who have nothing to do with that, and those are the ones I'm like very happy to run against.
right.
But unfortunately, it's not what you know a lot of times.
No.
It's who you know.
Who you know and how much money you
And
got.
they probably know less than you when you get to the table,
At times like this, you have to really respect Liz Cheney
Mm-hmm.
No
for
kidding.
standing up to
Stand
do
up.
the right thing.
Yes.
Okay, not the popular thing, but the right thing. So, well, okay, let's move along onto some of these issues. Affordable housing availability in Volusia County. What are the plans for combating homelessness? Andy, you want to lead?
I have worked hand in hand, going out to camps of our homeless on the west side for 38 years. Still working. Yesterday, I called the iDignity, which is helping people get an ID who haven't had them in years and years. When you're homeless, it's almost impossible to get an ID. Anything from your Social Security card or a new one replacement to anything. And we used to have identity events. So homelessness, unfortunately, about 25% of the homeless are veterans.
Right.
Why would any veteran ever be homeless?
You've got some that are willing.
Ever.
You've got some that are willing.
Some, exactly.
Yeah.
They do get checks, and they're out there. But affordable housing and homelessness, two different arenas. Yes, the same. Homeless are not in houses, but yet it's different. Affordable housing is an issue all by itself.
Yeah.
You don't have affordable housing. At $400,000, there's no
For a
affordable house.
$100,000 house, that's worth $450 now. It's selling.
Correct.
It-
Exactly.
It's disgusting.
53% of the new home buyers are from out of state. They sold their house for $700,000 to $1 million to $2 million. Come down here with all this cash, buy a house for $400,000, and have all the extra cash in their pocket.
Yep.
Will Roberts, our tax collector, made this statement 3 weeks ago. And he said, "I got a phone call from a guy who got his tax bill, and he said, 'Is that my monthly bill?' It was
That's
an
your
annual
annual.
$4,500. Yeah, exactly. It was
He's so used to
unbelievable.
paying. Right.
Yes, yes. So just astounding. So affordable housing to us with their income, is not easy to come up with. Yeah.
No, and again with the homeless issue, I mean, you got a lot of people. There's one in particular, right? We're near where I live. Matter of fact, I see him every morning,
Yes.
and the guy has some sort of mental issue,
Sure.
and but
23%.
you know what I mean, and but at the same token, he's happy as a lark sitting out there, and it worries me because you got kids that, and he may be a nice individual. Don't get me wrong, but at some point he's not going to be. You don't know. You can't predict. You know, so it's
mental health.
right,
23%. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what is the county's affordable housing plan?
So right now, I won't say we do or don't have a plan. We do have funding. That's the issue. And we were able to give them like $900,000 last year toward the project. So here's our issue in Volusia County. It's pretty much everywhere. For a long time, people have lived in the suburbs, the people with money. Well, now everybody wants to migrate to the city. They want to have that urban life. That's kind of how it switched with the generations. So the people who are building or want to, so we have two kinds of people, kind of those who want to preserve the farms and the wildlife and, care about the community in that sense. And then you have those who want to develop and capitalize. We can't stop people from coming here, but we can't give up all our resources. So where we're balancing the problem is bringing the two together to compromise, because the housing, like he said, this is the same thing I've been saying for years. We bring the people down, they have this money, they buy it, but now the problem is going to be with the new taxes, the insurance, and other things that are taking place. These people who are buying these houses aren't going to be as comfortable as before. Now their taxes will still be higher, but the people who come here, that's great, but what about people who live here?
Right.
So in Volusia County, the average income, according to the 2020 census, is just about $57,000. That's the median. However, across the country, it's $67,000. So we already start off $10,000 in the hole.
Right.
Then you have pockets where people don't. For example, in Daytona, 32114, my zip code, the salary is less than $30,000 a year. So are we really building these houses for the people here? Or are we building it for the people who are coming?
For who's coming? Come on.
Yes. And so I know that last year or 2 years ago when Governor DeSantis came down, he had a meeting behind closed doors. But basically his thing was we have to increase the marketing. We want to increase the revenue here. So they've come up with this plan. Houses ended up getting revalued because Daytona's houses were worth nothing. A good portion, certain areas were worth nothing. And then all of a sudden they got this revalue. And now we're like, okay, they're this much. So what's happening, the other issue, people are building and developing. That means we are causing the value of the prices to go up on other houses, yes. But with the value comes the taxes. So we don't pay enough here. We don't bring jobs that pay enough. And the few jobs that we have, a lot of the people for the skill set's not here. So if you're not in public works or public government, some kind of stability job, you're end up going to be maybe in fast food, retail, something like that. That is the vast majority of our jobs, physical jobs.
They don't provide a realistic entry point above and beyond. Okay, I was talking to a credit union locally that they offer a zero down mortgage, but you still need $20,000 to $25,000 to come to the table. What young person is going to walk in with $20,000 to $25,000? Now, if you've had a house that you're selling, that's one thing, right? But for somebody entering into this market that is severely inflated, who's going to have $20,000 or $25,000? I saw a newspaper clipping from way back in the 40s or 50s where houses were like, $45,000 and only, $200 a month or something. I'm like, are you kidding me? You got rent now for $1,800 a month.
Yes. But that's the definition today of affordable housing is not buying a house. Yeah. It's being able to afford the rent.
That's disgusting.
It is.
How is that set up to succeed?
It's not.
Thankfully, we have some senior programs in place.
Yes.
Around the county, and the cities do. There's some land designation. At the county council level, and I've been working with Faith for a couple of years, and we're hopefully moving forward with this. I want to designate land, literally designate land for affordable housing.
Right.
Our seniors, we've had thankfully, several different cities have done that. We need to do it at the county level. It should be within a sustainable community,
right.
Walking, at the same time, they want county money. Yes, if we absolutely have to, but I would prefer to find private funds. There are people out there, they would love their name on the property or on the building or on, the room, the recreation room,
right.
activity room. But we need to move forward. Unfortunately, affordable is no longer buying, it's renting.
It's
That's the
I've
sad
seen
part.
I've seen communities just recently. I don't remember where it was at, but because I drive a lot on the interstate, but I saw signs, and when they're building a new subdivision, there's homes starting in the 300s and the 400s, homes starting at for
Exactly.
rent.
It was 100,
for rent.
200, 300, exactly.
But it was advertising brand new homes that you can rent, and I said, oh my God, where we're going as a community. And you got these young kids, they're coming out of high school, that are graduating, they're ready to get started, young families. You can't buy a house. How are you going to buy a house?
You have to look at something that's really critical here. You have to look at who the developers are. And now when you track the developers, you go look at the elected officials who got money from them.
Oh, yeah.
Just do the math. I'm just saying, I follow the money. Money
Yeah.
doesn't lie, people do. So just follow that.
true.
The next issue that we have here is everybody keeps saying affordable. That is the worst word you can use, because affordable to me may not be affordable to you. It needs to be income-based affordable housing.
right.
That way you can securely move in. There's apartments and there's homes. And right now in Volusia County, they're getting ready to put 20,000 homes over on LPGA. Orman actually gave that land to the city of Daytona, sold it, however it worked out. Those are the issues. Like, why are we rechanging and rezoning stuff for people to do that? It's going to take our natural habitats, but it's not solving the problem. And what I've learned here, there's a couple of things. One, there's a difference between truth and the facts, apparently.
Right.
People, they want to hear the truth, but they don't want to hear the facts behind it. And then the second thing is, in this county, the vast majority of the people are poor, like meaning they don't make that money. Only 2.3% of the people make over that. But if you look at a lot of these lands that are being sold, we have a lot of elected officials who are landlords.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of them own land.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it was not there's opportunities and advantage. They were able to own it because of certain opportunities and advantages. Yes, other people might have had that opportunity, but not the same advantage to get it.
Right.
So it's some of our own elected officials that are contributing to this problem, and they won't stop because they're benefiting.
Right.
I just think it's a setup, and maybe I'm getting off topic or whatever, but somebody that pays $1,900 a month for rent for years with not missing payment, I mean, they're on time, and then they can't even get into a mortgage. If they bought that house, it would cost them $1,000, $1,200,
Right.
and you don't qualify for a mortgage. Like, how is that set up for success? It's not.
not.
It's set up to keep you trapped, and you're going to fail.
Remember one thing, no one owns anything here because you never own your land. Miss a tax payment.
Right.
So he who controls the land, he who controls the money,
Yeah.
controls the world.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Unbelievable. It just frustrates you when you.
But I want to
Yeah,
say real quickly, I'm sorry, the Sadowski Fund. So we do have federal money that should come to us, but it appears that our governor will not release those funds. We need people in place that will release those funds and increase that funding. So the Sadowski Fund is federal money that allows for affordable housing. We're not getting it. There are literally people here who don't want poor people in the county. And like, that doesn't really exist.
Right.
So, and there's people who don't want to contribute to this. And I understand why we don't want to as taxpayers, but listen, I'm telling you, there are ways to save money. We're overspending in certain areas. I think what we need to do is contribute to the housing. We definitely need to work. We have a whole VA program with the county, and I've been dealing with this for many years here. I also work with Faith, and we have been trying to address this, but you have elected officials that will not stand behind this. And I'm going to be honest, they are because they have ours. And that's the sad part. They will stick with their party beliefs
Right.
instead of dealing with who they're representing.
Right.
So
Okay,
they
so-
contribute.
So my ears went up when you said that the federal funds and the governor won't release it. And where did the funds come from the federal government?
It's been, the Sadowski Fund, I think, was created in like the 80s, but it's been around for a long time.
Okay.
So if he releases the funds, that would help some, but he has that power to release it, increase it, decrease
And
it.
why won't he?
And he has the power to not release it. And isn't that illegal? I mean, he's playing with federal
Well, we
taxpayer
also
money.
had a per capita quota or a number set for affordable housing that had to be in each zip code or zone so that it would balance out. And Trump lifted that when he was in office, it shows. So
Unbelievable.
they're going to make the whole state Mar-a-Lago or whatever.
That's what they're going for. That's what they're going for.
It was a family-funded initiative, and the purpose was to help those get into housing.
Yeah.
So
So
the
what's
whole-
the what's
Housing.
what's
And it's
the
been diverted at the state level
and what's the drawback? Why are they diverting it?
I can't answer that.
because it was available to divert because they don't have to
Well,
use it
yeah, but-
for the intended purpose. And
So they're trying to take the money and put it
over
elsewhere.
half of it has been put out. Yes, And then it's very slow, and actually the initiative for affordable housing is very slow to come out and get the funding itself.
Because, and like I heard you say, well, we don't want poor people. We have poor people here.
Well,
our
yes.
people.
Amen.
Our people. Like you guys
might be one
forget.
of 'em.
Right? You know what I'm saying? But I'm just being
I
honest with you. Because what happens is a lot of the people that get in power are the people that come from money and come with some sort of substance, all right? But you're forgetting that the average Joe here, look around, man. I mean, come on. This is, you don't graduate with $100,000 in your bank account.
No.
That's not how it happens.
No, and we also have, we have to keep this part in mind. So when we have housing here, so I have suggestions on how we can change that, and we do have housing. They are very anti-mixed housing, and it's usually the people who've probably not really lived other places that don't understand mixed housing is not bad.
Right.
I'm from New York. Your neighbor could be a millionaire, and
Right.
your other neighbor could be making $100,000 less than you. Like, we have to have mixed housing, and people have to accept that we don't own the county.
Right.
We don't own the state. If people want to move here, we'll move, but we have to build for them. And I think that's where we're lacking compromise on people.
Mm-hmm.
That's compromises being lacked all over the place. Unbelievable. Let's talk about rollback taxes. This is a subject whenever we're in a campaign season. It's very popular with politicians.
Mm-hmm.
They think if they mention that they're going to cut taxes, they're going to get a vote. And that with me personally, that doesn't work. I don't get that. So what is your stance with rolling back taxes, and how do you think it's going to help lower property taxes here in Volusia County?
I think we do need to roll back. I vote for it. And I want everybody to understand, we as the council members do not necessarily vote for the taxes. They're put before the county to vote on it. And if they vote on it, we do. Now, you can have others that you can side vote or say, should we? I wouldn't vote for those because I know where we're spending money and where we need to change. So in my regards, we are spending way too much money in overtime, and we can downsize. There are certain parts of the county that we can privatize, and we can get rid of that cost. We would save money on overtime. We'd save a lot of money on health insurance, be it Florida retirement, especially on the people who we pay at the top end. They would still be able to get jobs because we could make a contract where, hey, if we take this over as privatization, they still get to keep their jobs, but that would alleviate a lot of funding from us. There's so many ways to save money in so many different areas we can do that, because I think as a government, we have overstepped to a certain extent in what we're doing, and we haven't stepped up enough in certain areas. So with the taxes, the roll it back, I'm perfectly fine with that. There's a surplus of money. We saw how much money we have in the account and everything. So now we know there's money to do these things, but if we save, we'll have more. So my whole goal is not to spend more money, period, to be honest. Mine is to cut money where we can and then reutilize that money. That way no one feels the bite, no one feels the burden. And we have to lower our taxes at some point because they're going to climb on their own. Remember, these homes that are being built in the property value, and we have to prepare for that. We're a very reactive county, unfortunately, and if people just sat, and I know we have a great finance director, but if people sat down and looked at the numbers, then you would see what we're headed for. And everybody's buy, or sell, but who can buy and sell?
Nobody wants to look at what we're heading for, as you put it.
That's it.
First of all, what's rollback? Rollback means that you collect the same amount of money that you made last year for the current year.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened this past year is the values went up 18%.
Right.
So they reduced the millage rate a little bit, but overall, the overall increase in our property taxes countywide were 9.4% increase. That's 10%.
Wow.
That hit
Right.
me in the pocket.
Yeah.
Bad.
A lot of people.
Big. Yes, no kidding. So rollback means that you're keeping whatever the property rates, whatever values go up or down, that your millage is going to make sure you have the same budget that you had last year.
Mm-hmm.
Our property taxes, ad valorem taxes, what they're called, make up exactly 33% of our budget. Our budget was $960 million, and now it's at $1.1 billion due to the inflation and the values that we've gotten, extra income. So at the same time, for whatever reason, my income doesn't increase every year.
Yeah.
But the county has decided that we have to increase our expenses. The quickest and most expedient way to do it is to go to each department head and just say, hey, you reduce your budget.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have a choice. You're not asking, you're telling.
Right.
Now, know that the council members only hire 2 people in the county. We hire the manager and the county attorney, nobody else, but we can direct the traffic through them. We can reduce the budget. We did it. I served from 2007 to 2012 during the Great Recession. We kept our budget low because we told them, this is where we need to be, and we just need to step up and do it again. Instead of just keep on creeping up, the county budget cannot keep increasing because people can't afford it anymore.
Right.
And real quick, Deneen was in office. Jim Deneen, he was the city county manager at the
Right.
time. And yes, they did save money, but unfortunately during that time, they let a lot of things lack by not spending money, trying to, squirrel fund everything. So I don't want that to repeat. I don't want other services to slack off while we're trying to do that. And cutting budget, I've worked with Volusia County government. I actually worked in budget for many years, Volusia County, EMS, and even with the U.S. Court of Appeals. So budget is my baby. It's government budget. I mean, I know the line items. I can tell you the codes and where we're spending. One of the issues is that we're top heavy on salary on executives and directors. I have a problem with that. Not that they haven't earned some money and they shouldn't, but you have people out here who are EMTs, paramedics, law enforcement, who are actually receiving welfare services because they can't afford it. But then you have someone who's sitting up here who's probably not the best, and really maybe they just kind of got in there because of who they knew, not the actual works, and they have very poor maybe leadership skills, for example. And these people are getting paid $200, $150,000.
I find this so disgusting. I have a neighbor who's his son is a firefighter, but he also has to teach on the side.
Yes.
I said, this is a man that protects our lives. I have teachers that are they're forming are the future of our children that can't afford food.
Yeah.
Correct.
And it's like this is so backwards. The people that protect us, to keep us alive, that frame the mind of our children, and they are not getting funding anywhere near where it's supposed to be, and that is not just here. That's a countrywide issue.
Right.
Our teachers, our police, our fire, our nurses are severely underpaid and underappreciated, and it's like, how do we do that as a society?
Right.
How are we allowing that? It's just
And I've been speaking
why?
up for more pay for years since I've come here, and I've been speaking up. We need to. When I came here, our EMTs were making $11 an hour.
How is
Now,
that?
here's a problem we have internally, which we can deal with the county managers. It doesn't matter if you have 25 years experience as an EMT, or now I think it's like $14, even if it's 15. But even if you have 25 years as an EMT and you've worked here, and been in the military and done all these things, if you come, we start you off at $15 an hour. It doesn't matter. And that's not cool
Right.
because we can't get good employees that want to work for that when they've
course.
worked 30 years. They want to come in making $25, $35, $40 an hour. So how do we do that?
I mean, you're telling me, okay, I'm a firefighter. I'm putting my life on the line. You're trying to tell me that my life is worth $15 an hour? I don't think so.
They might get a little more.
But
For
you-
years, we've been training, and then they find a better paying job
Yep.
across
and they
the
leave
bridge,
us.
we call it.
Right.
It's a sad fact.
Or
Over
if they
and
go into
over
another
again.
county that happens to be paying
Oh,
them.
we get that a lot.
Right.
Exactly. We call it across the bridge, which means
Right.
they typically go into Seminole
Okay.
County, Orange County, and they get a better paying position.
After we
but
pay for their
train them
schooling.
here.
Right. You put all the support into them, and they took. But you
We
can't
love
blame them either.
We love them. No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, again, the fact that we're paying them peanuts.
We have the best firefighters. We have the best
Absolutely.
deputies. We have the, I mean, the first responders. It's unbelievable.
Do you want them
They-
falling
their
asleep
heart-
because they have to work a second job? Like, no, I want
not
him
at
bright-eyed, bushy-tailed when he's coming
Right.
to my house.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
They're the best.
Yep. This is the Lowdown, a podcast, your Need to Know podcast, and we are talking this afternoon with Sherrise Boyd and Andy Kelly, both running for Volusia County Council at large. And I want to talk about the development that's going on in Volusia County right now. How can smart growth and low impact development help protect our natural resources? Andy, you want to lead with that?
Smart growth. We don't have that. We have runaway growth.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, runaway growth.
Smart growth was an initiative that we did back in the early 2000s. We had meeting after meeting, workshop after workshop, which the county council has a problem with over workshopping instead of an action. So new growth, large development never pays for itself. The impact fee per house is $295, $294 plus for firefighting. That's it. So for schools, $2,300. It's $9,400 per house, basically, right? That does not pay for the fact that, back to first responders, they have to go to that new development and service them. At the same time, continue the existing residents.
Right.
And now the new residents are existing residents, and it just is just like this vicious cycle. Sprawl development does not pay for itself. If we could localize, if we could just put sustainable communities within city limits, instead of the sprawl we're having is cities are growing outward and outward and outward. And that becomes sprawl. It has not and will not pay itself. We have no roads in place. We have no funding for roads to put into place.
Right.
And if we build more roads, we're going to have more development. If we sprawl.
Yeah, look at the roads now.
So-
It's like Orlando over here.
So, okay, the problem we're having with the overdevelopment is A, it did start in the cities first. B, right now the issue is so many people are getting so much money for their land. And again, they're trying to create this come here and live thing. DeSantis said a couple of years ago, we're opening up the state, come on down.
Yeah.
So he did. And that's what they're doing. And if you look at the population that's transitioning, it is those that fit into that.
Northern.
That status quo, whatever. So now we have that problem. The next problem is the developers come here and they sell these plans to these elected officials. And the issue that I have is that we are changing zones and codes so we can accommodate these people. We are losing out on our natural resources. We are losing out on our water. And as he said, and I'll go deeper onto the impact piece. So think about this. In like Louisiana, they have Mardi Gras, right? Mardi Gras comes for a really long time. Do you know all those businesses and casinos actually have to pay extra money every year because what's going to happen is you're running more calls, you have more fights, you have more arrests, you have more use on the public services. So that money is taxed into it, and that's how it's paid for. Why are we not doing the same thing with developers? So if you're going to come here and you're going to build this monstrosity of a development, why would the amount only be this? And I know there's a limit that we can charge.
Right.
However, that limit can be changed if you can justify it quantitatively. That means here's the number, this is what it's going to cost. And a lot of times in the past, which I don't always blame the older elected officials, I say that because they didn't have the resources we have.
Right.
But now we do have resources. We can project, we can use statisticians, we can look out and how long this will take. Because once we build a house here and we've taken that land from someone, that house is constantly impacting something else, or that business, for example. So if we have these businesses that are opening, you're constantly impacting us, meaning we can't build houses here, we can't bring this, we can't be that. And they don't pay for the long term of impact fees, meaning, yes, you developed this and you built this and you might get a water bill, but we still have to treat your lines. We still have to do a whole lot of other things. And businesses, infrastructures are different from homes. It costs more. We're not using LED kind of building. We need to use that. I want more buildings made out of glass. It's Florida. We can solar power stuff. There are ways to make this place more efficient and still casually or quasi cater into the fact that we do have to keep developing, but we have to slow it down. Like you said, it's sprawling, it's out of control, it's been that way. So how do we do this? We identify the issues first and the problems, and we work on what we need to fix. So we can't keep taking water from our aquifer. We know we're below a safety level. So we have to address that. So this is one of my suggestions, and I don't know how people are going to like it. They can run with it, and it's just a suggestion. But if everyone keeps saying we can't do everything because the desalination would cost too much, then why do we not have the organizations or businesses that want to come here contribute X amount of dollars into the desalination program, and then we create it? Amazon came, they could have gave us $1 million,
More
Brown
than
and
that.
Brown
Yeah.
could have gave us, I'm just saying, they could give us millions. And that way, now you're actually helping us with our impact, and that desalination water would be for them to be able to use, or we could use. But there's a solution. So
It's true.
People don't think out the box.
Now,
and
if
they
you're going
don't
to come
wanna
here and
ask.
use our resources up, it's like at some point, and we should not allow any more people to come in here because we're understaffed. We're there's not enough homes. Everything. We don't have the resources to substantiate all these businesses, and then they're getting the benefit and running from it. Yeah,
and the people don't live here. A great portion of the people who own businesses, so they're living on their secluded island, on their acres of land.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm going to say over and over again, we need to protect and preserve our natural resources. We
That
already
was-
have a sole source aquifer.
That-
We have
that-
to protect that.
That was going to be my next question. Is
intro.
what are
There you
your
go.
plans to help with water conservation and stopping development on our wetlands?
Amen to that. First of all, as I did before, and I'll do it again, I voted no against Farmington. That's going to be the biggest monster to the size of a city, but not being called a city. 26,000 homes they're proposing.
Wow.
Southeast corner. Yes. It's coming. There's other, with all due respect, monster developments already out there. Cities, with all due respect, cities have boundaries, but if they allow or if they give water or sewer lines outside, public utilities, then whoever they give it to promises under a contract that I will not deny annexation. So the city basically can start sprawling, annexing property, little at a time. We have beautiful communities like Margaritaville. It was in the county. It was on wetlands. The city annexed it in, fill it, build it. Our wetlands are forever gone. Once you cover it, you never get it back.
Right.
So we have to preserve and protect our natural resources. We have to never allow development on wetlands. We have to recharge. The wetlands are slow recharge. It's the high and dry lands, the filtration that does the fastest recharge of our aquifer. We have to protect all of our natural resources.
Yeah, because there's not going to be anything left.
Exactly. Build over it, it's gone forever.
And like we see people are concerned about now, well, it's going to be long after I'm gone. Well, that's not the way to look at it. It's going to happen a lot quicker if we all look at it that way.
Okay, speaking of what you're talking about here, what about, what are your thoughts on the 144 new homes that have been approved to be built on the loop?
That's another problem, defend the loop, right? That's going to be an issue because now we have to worry about what? Runoff. Where are these things going? How are they impacting your neighbors? The thing about us getting and preserving our natural habitats is we have to do no harm. That's first and foremost. That's it across the board. And if you go like to Gemini Springs, they've had to shut down part of the park because of runoff after all of the development. And they are now slowing down. They're like, okay, we're going to put, a moratorium on the developing out there. But the problem is for many years, and that's what I'm saying, we have the research now. We know what we can and can't do. We have a better understanding. In my field of study, emergency disaster management, here we are. We have other natural resources. Like I said, the water earlier, we have no seawall really. So what happens when we get a couple of Category 5 hurricanes? We're done. Those buildings are definitely going to be at the highest of risk.
Yeah.
And as for our preserving and where those houses are built, when people buy homes, sometimes they're going to build something on the other side of you. Sometimes you don't. Look at Pelican Bay. They kind of knew it would be a warehouse area, but I guess they didn't realize they'd have 600 trucks going in front of their house a day or a week or whatever the number is. So in my opinion, our saving the environment, we have to stop cutting. Here's the thing I recently asked someone, and Wendy Anderson, myself, and some others, Ryan Morales, who's running the Department of Agriculture, I interviewed him a few weeks ago. What we've said is, I've asked this question. They keep cutting down the trees and they're burning, right? But who's checking these trees for fungus? We can't be burning fungus into the air.
Oh, that's a good point.
The toxins from the tree.
Right.
Trees absorb toxins. Like people know that, right? And then it gives off the oxygen. It takes the carbon monoxide. So why are we not regulating that? There are so many things that people don't discuss because the platform is say save the environment. But let's be logical. It's more than just the aquifer. That's extremely important. It's more than just not cutting down the trees, but what we're doing with these trees. My personal opinion, how we can do things different is one, we have to stop building with what we're building with. I have suggested we use hempcrete. It is so inexpensive. It's made from the runoff water from hemp. Hemp is legal. It fortifies over time. It's yes, hempcrete instead of concrete. It's called hempcrete from hemp. It also has
hemp as in marijuana.
Yes, the hemp plant. Yes.
Wow, you heard of this?
And it has medicinal purposes. So when you think about our homeless vets, we can build many homes in many villages, and they can be small homes. And guess what? People with seizures, disabilities, disabled, even arthritis, it has medical medicinal purposes, and it can help, and it gets stronger with time. We don't need big homes. A lot of people have kind of gotten from that. We're minimizing. People are becoming minimalist. We have to think. So I ran a recycle program. I'm really big on the environment. That's my thing. We have to think and live clean and green. And how we do that, we don't have a good recycling program. We do have the dump, but what do we do about that? We have to address lobbyists. We need to go to Congress. We need help. It's okay to ask for help. It's not that the government's overstepping, but that's what they're there for. So
that's one issue. The scenic loop, Ormond Beach, we have the same issue going on in DeLand, Tomoka Farms, Port Orange outside Edgewater. We have this new I-95 interchange that's being proposed, a huge development. And once you build the roads, the big interchanges, more development will come. it's huge. The scenic loop is a beautiful piece.
Yes.
We have the wildlife corridor. We have just so many. We're blessed.
And for those of you that are listening
We
that
are
may not
blessed.
be familiar with where the scenic loop is, it's North B Street going straight up.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
And our wildlife
Yeah.
corridor, we
Ormond.
know what's
Well,
going
that's
on
not-
there.
Exactly.
We
Wildlife
have-
corridor everywhere.
Do you know we have 19 Florida Panthers left
We
in
have
the
to
whole
protect
state?
19?
When you can say
19?
that, 19. We had 20. One got killed during the development.
Wow.
19. And that's what I'm saying. And there are people, and
Wow.
I swear I understand people like, my Constitution says I can do this. Yes, and the Constitution says that, but with the Constitution comes amendments and Bill of Rights, because when the Constitution was written, like Jefferson said, we are not perfect. We've made mistakes, and we need to be able to amend
Right.
as time changes. So maybe
evolving.
that's an amendment that you need to realize, because there's a selfishness in people, because people haven't realized we are not going to be here forever.
Right.
Period.
No, and nobody wants to look past that. It's easier to put your head in the sand and just go,
Yeah, your great grandchildren, think about them, the air they need to breathe. And if you put people over profit, this would be a better
Right.
place in general. But we do have people, we have organizations like the Miami Corporation that we battle and fight. But what do you do when you don't have the money to fight them? You change policies. And that's why you get in office and do things like this.
wow.
Wow.
I didn't realize that there's
Yeah.
only 19.
19.
Well,
And we know where all because they have the track.
Yes.
What areas are they? Do we have any clue?
In the corridor, in the wildlife. So the
Wow,
corridor,
man.
those who don't know, it's a key area for us. It provides like 90% of our water comes from that area. Our oxygen, clean air, all of that is produced there, kind of like the Amazon is to the world. That's what that is there. And you have people who own that and they want to get rid of stuff and develop. So we're going back and forth.
Wow.
It's big. It's big.
And then after the fact, when we have all these we're out of more and more resources, then people go, oh, wait a second, there's a problem here. Yeah, that's what we've been screaming for how many years?
Let me ask you, what's these building something if you won't have water to drink? You'll die without water.
Yeah, you have to have water.
We have to admit, we
I
have to
know.
admit, we always have the same amount of water. It's the quality.
Quality, yes.
Oh, and that gets worse and worse
Let's
and
say
worse
that.
and worse.
No kidding.
Because
We
of
have to
everything going on in the
protect.
aquifer. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have the same amount, but unfortunately, it keeps changing how contaminated it is. We
And-
have big ocean, but even the ocean's contaminated. Desalination plants are an option. They haven't proven to be cost efficient, though.
Greed is very expensive,
At the same
not just
time,
monetarily.
right now we have the freest water there is, our sole source aquifer. We just have to protect it.
Yep.
We have to protect it. That's our number one job.
you know, John, I heard you, as Sherrise was speaking, I heard you say, geez, I had no idea. That's the exact purpose for which we got together and produced the Lowdown, to bring these things to light to people living here in Volusia County,
Right.
okay, about all of this stuff. And they're sitting there saying, man, I had no idea about all this stuff.
Right.
Well, you can get involved. You can get active and contact Andy and Sherrise and get on the bandwagon and help. You know, don't just, I'm just going to come out and say it. Don't just sit there at your house and complain about it.
Please.
Do something about it,
Right.
because you're losing right now. You're losing by not paying attention. So get out there and work. Let's work hard. We can make Volusia County, it's a beautiful place. We can make it even better. You know? So let's change direction just a little bit. John and I are very involved in tourism in other counties in the state of Florida. We publish visitor guides. We have tourism websites that we produce. And so properly branding Volusia County is an important part of what John and I, where our interests are. What can we do to help bring more visitors and companies to the area to help the next generation of Volusia County residents live, play, and work in Volusia County?
So this is the one thing that I've been talking about throughout my campaign. It's really important. We have to brand and market our county better. Right now, if you tell someone I'm going to Volusia County, they're like, what?
Yeah.
But you tell them Daytona Beach.
They know Daytona.
Yes.
World
because
famous.
World famous. And we are overshadowed by that name. Now, a while back, remember Halifax Authority advertising, they had this picture of the beach and somebody on it. Oh my gosh. And then they want to know why we had the kind of uproar we had or whatever. And I'm not saying everybody can't come here. Obviously they can, but that's what you attract. So what you would advertise, you attract. We have to change, and we need to first decide, what are we? Are we
Yeah.
a tourist city, a tourist county, a convention county, a family-oriented county, a gambling county? Like, we have to identify.
You're so
what we
right on
are.
that, because there's such an inner fight with that. It sounds like if you go, it looks like we just put a bunch of crap everywhere.
Yes.
And we don't have one.
But our tourism for the last 4 months have been an all-time high.
Well, yeah, everybody has though. I mean,
Exactly. Yes, because people are so tired of COVID, just
Right.
being home-ridden, bedridden. We have 6 cents of the tax that's charged on the local bed tax, which is our hotel tax. All right. Of that, 3 cents is given to our 3 ad authorities or tourism authorities.
Right.
Okay. The other 3 cents of the tax is given to
Ocean Center.
Ocean Center, exactly, and paying for past bond debt and paying for current use, which also is a big draw. Daytona Beach is a huge attraction by itself. We're never going to lose that definition of the world's most famous beach. It's
Well, we
a
will
fight.
if the beach goes
It's a
away.
Fight. If they stop allowing accessibility to local residents, never shut down access to the beach. It's our beach. Don't give it to the rich.
right.
We have to always allow accessibility, always keep the beach open. And that's been a fight that the rich have always been doing against.
Yeah, they started splicing sections. You have to
and
get off
that's
in this area.
Yes,
when I was a
which is a
kid,
cut.
you could drive from
Yes.
Port Orange all the way up to Ormond, no problem.
Yep.
Exactly,
And
my whole life.
and then I was talking to Sherrise before. Recently, I was on the beach and looked. Before there was so much acreage of between where I was driving and where the buildings are. Now you're smacked up against them. There's not much land left, and you constantly now it's because the corporations come in and they want their private beach area.
Correct.
You have to get off. It's completely changed the game, and it's not what it once was. But going back to what we were talking about before, there's so many different. Like you said, are we family destination? Are we gambling? Do we want a bunch of adult stuff? I mean, because it's just a cluster of, our neighbors to the south where we've got business. It's more that's a family destination.
Well, I'm John. As your dad, I came here in 1969, direct from a place called Vietnam. My dad had a business on Beach Street. Used to be a bakery called Federal Bakery. And I came here in 1969, and I came to work at a radio station. And I've been hearing since 1969 about the beachside revitalization.
Right.
And it has never, ever happened.
Right.
And now you and I are in the business, and we work very closely with in the tourism industry down in Brevard County in the Space Coast. That's where we publish our magazine, and we constantly see the difference between the Space Coast and Daytona Beach. Right. They're two markets that are very competitive to one another. And you look and you see what they do down there, and you wonder, why can't these things be done up here?
Right.
And so I'm going to ask you.
Our Ocean Walk. It was a wide open place. The county agreed to expand that and make that into a beautiful walkway. For whatever reason, the monies were appropriated, but it was never done.
Mm-hmm.
One person had control of that money. It was Jim Deneen back in the day, and that's a sad fact. We had one man, 7 council members giving direction, and that one man would or would not move forward on action.
And why?
Couldn't tell you. And after
I
we
have
come
a
and go,
hunch.
council members, they served 4 years at a time.
Yeah.
And unless you stay on top of it and you push it, you bring it up over and over again, sometimes those actions passe. They go away. So we have this beautiful ocean deck. I mean, this ocean walk down there, and unfortunately, it needs to be revitalized. It needs to come back to life. There's so much that we could do with that one section. And that's right there, Daytona.
Well, not even that. Okay, so
That's just one
you
section.
come into the town and
3
you
miles
fly
to
in here and you go over the bridge, and the first thing you see, you come over the bridge.
Desolate.
I mean that's how we want to welcome our guests here.
No, we
kidding.
need.
Heck no! I went to a similar experience out of state because I'm from Florida, so I want to explore. So I went to another state, and we drove it. We flew, we landed, and we drove into town. It was worse than Daytona Beach. It was during July. Yeah, it was worse than Daytona Beach, but it was a very similar experience. The next morning, I didn't even wait for my flight. I drove home. I said, "I'm taking your car. I'm going back." Because I was like, this is so it's the same thing here in Daytona. It's embarrassing. I'm born and raised in this area. I love this community, and you drive around town, it's a dump. There's a lot of areas that's a dump, and they need to fix it.
One of the reasons-
We call it a strip.
So why isn't anything being done about?
It can be, and I met with the chamber a couple of weeks ago, and I talked to them, and I brought a few things to their reality. Like what we need to do. How are we going to get businesses, right? Well, number one, the majority of the United States is run on small businesses. So why are we not pushing for small businesses to open that will be more creative? The next thing is, I said we need to get something like EA Sports, Xbox, Sony to build a gaming center here, or utilize the Ocean Center if it's large enough for gaming events. We have to think outside the box. For so many years, Volusia County has been very closed to, we're not going to invite that. And it's not. It's because they lack diversity. And it's okay. You won't change if they come and celebrate and spend their money here. Like I promise, it's not contagious, whatever it is. So whether you don't want, no, really, whether you don't want the country music or the rap music concerts, don't worry. You're not going to like change after they leave. We can have boxing matches. We have the the small boxing that they have there, but we can bring bigger stuff. We have a whole Ocean Center that's vacant majority of the year, except for like gymnastics and things like that. Yeah. Why are we not pushing for conventions? Why are we not going off of those contracts that they have in Orlando and Jacksonville? Well, people fly down there all the time for it, and we have the hotels.
But we need more flights. This has been a discussion we've had for years.
Well, that's the next
We don't have
thing.
enough flights.
Well, the airport.
The Ocean Center is booked.
It is the county's airport.
Right.
But in my opinion, it does have a very private feel because of the racetrack and what they are able to do. They've added some more flights. We will get more flights if we agree to the contracts. You know, there's a way to go through that, okay? So you say yes. You attract those flights. We should be having direct flights to more places. I know so many people who have to fly out of other airports just to get here or, in. But to bring money here, we need something like gaming. We need tech companies. The reason I'm pushing for those, they're very good and low impact on development because they're very pro, live healthy or don't come to work every day. We want to give back their environment. They don't damage the environment as much. Right. We need companies like that. We need self-sustaining businesses, but more importantly, we need consistency. That's why so many people are broke here in these lower income paying jobs, because we only have something if the Speedway does something, if the ocean. We need consistency. So if we're going to be a tourist city, then we need to be a tourist city 12 months a year. And if we're going to be a convention city, we need to be that 12 months.
Here's something that'll really shock you. Are you familiar with USSSA?
What is it, Sam?
United States Sports Specialty?
Yes.
Okay. They're very big. Their headquarters is down in Brevard County right now. Right. We met with them recently. We do a podcast down there called 3-2 and Liftoff. We met with them, and I inquired when they were looking to move out. Where'd they come from? Orlando, John?
Well, no, it was Kissimmee.
Kissimmee. Yeah. When they were looking to move their headquarters out of Kissimmee, and of course they wound up in Brevard County, I inquired. I said, I'm just curious, did you attempt to go to talk to anybody in Volusia County? They said, yeah, we did, but they weren't interested.
No.
Right.
Not
because
the slightest
it's been
bit.
the same people.
And if you look and see how many room nights they sell,
they really do.
It's incredible.
More than the Nationals do. The Nationals were there at that stadium.
Yeah, they chased the Washington Now, Major League franchise, out of there.
And they're generating more room nights now, and all the hotels and the businesses are going, thank goodness USSSA came here. And so, that's a perfect example. This county had the opportunity, and they're like, nope, not interested.
They send things away they don't like instead of dealing with the fact that everyone's not going to do what you like.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. And again, to your point, we don't know what our image is here. We're trying to have like a shepherd's pie, so to speak, and we need to decide what are we going to be, and then let's build off that correctly.
Until we have a beautiful, beautiful airport now. They did a magnificent job out there. Amen. And the Ocean Center is a beautiful facility, and I'm so proud of that. But until people understand that, until we get airlines coming in here, that Ocean Center is never going to get to its full potential.
That's it.
Because that's the conduit that brings people here. If everybody's got to fly into Orlando and then rent a car to come over here to have a convention, they're not going to do it.
Yeah, Orlando's got 1 million square foot of convention space they need to fill.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Or 2 million, actually, but they got 1 million that's sitting empty all year. So, yeah, absolutely.
You see, those of you that are listening today, this isn't complaining, folks. What we're doing is sharing with you problems that are existing, that are out there, and we need better leadership than what we've had, okay? And that's why we're talking with Sherrise and Andy, although we are not endorsing them right now. We wish Mr. Pettit and Mr. Johansson would have been here so that they could have added, their contribution and discuss this with us. And maybe we'll do this again if we can get them. And Phil, I'm going to ask you. We're going to go off script here a little bit. Is there any way that we can air this? Are we pre-recording this so that
No,
we
this is
can
live.
air this?
It's live, but we're recording it too.
Okay. I want to talk to you after this is over about running this again.
Absolutely.
And promoting when it's going to air again so people can listen to all of these things. We've identified with the both of you some excellent points that I guarantee you 99% of the people out there don't understand all of this because they're more concerned about voting for an R or a D.
And a lot of it, I think, and I speak for, and I look at myself still as a younger generation, although I'm pushing 40. I think the younger generation is a bigger one that they don't really know. They don't. It's not the cool thing to know what's going on, so to speak, and they just do what they think their parents, they follow suit. I think it's so important. That's why I told you before. I really believe that before you go and vote, you should have to take a test.
That's it.
Like if you're going to impact what happens in this community, we need to make sure you really know what the heck you're doing. And I think that there's so much we need to do to help get the word out.
Well, remember, less than 30% of the people in the county vote in local elections. So 405,000 registered voters approximately. We're estimating about 140,000 will show up to the polls. That's not a lot of people.
No,
So
wow.
I tell people you should be afraid that 30% of people are going to decide for 100% of us.
Yeah, it's true.
We should be afraid of that. Just vote. Educate yourself. Research the
Take the
candidates and
time,
vote.
read.
It
I
matters.
honestly, I don't
It
care.
matters.
Over the years, I have seen fine people on both sides of the aisle. I'm going to say whether it's popular or not. I've seen fine people with R's and fine people with. I don't care what the affiliation is. I really don't. I just want to know what are you going to do, and for God's sake, stick to it. What you say you're going to do. Don't get in the office and then get paid off by Tom, Dick, and Harry, and all of a sudden actually stick to it. But we all live here, and we're all going to sink together if we don't fix it.
But seemingly people don't step up until it affects them. And then all of a sudden it's important. But it's important all the time because it affects somebody different every
true.
time. And that's when they step up. You're in the upper end. You're right at the 40 level. You're still considered young adult until
Thank you.
you're 40. Then you're done.
I'm only a few months away, but
There you go.
But you know that saying,
And
you'll never have
important-
justice until the unaffected are affected.
right. It's true
It's true.
because nobody looks out for their fellow man anymore.
But
It's all about themselves.
One of the biggest points, we have to be the voice
Yes.
of those who don't have a voice.
That's a very strong point. A very strong point. And I want to thank and John and I want to thank you both for coming here and taking the time to come and speak with us. This has been very beneficial. I think I've learned a lot sitting here when I thought that I was up on some things and I'm going, my God, I'm a host and I don't even know about this.
You better get reading there, Dan.
Yeah. So, and we also want to thank Country Inn and Suites.
Yes, Country Inn and Suites, thank you so much for having us. Country Inn and Suites by Radisson here in Port Orange. Want to tell you again, guys, after a day at the beach, head to the free laundry facilities here at Country Inn and Suites by Radisson and wash the sand and salt out of your swimwear. Relax at their heated outdoor pool. What do you know when it's hot out? It gets cool in the winter, at night. So when you want to break from the sightseeing or hold a family party at the patio, complete with a barbecue grill. If you need to prep for a meeting, visit the business center to take advantage of printing services, and in the mornings you can fuel up for more Port Orange adventures at the free hot breakfast featuring the signature waffles, which they are fantastic, here at the Country Inn and Suites by Radisson. Guys, remember, book your stay now at portorangeconnection.com/Country Inn and Suites. We got a special link set up. Do that, and thank you again so much for having us out here. And General Manager Tom Clabsaddle, we really appreciate him.
Thank
Right.
you, John,
Thank you.
Wayne,
Thank
and the
you.
Lowdown for us being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. We
Thank you.
love having you. Maybe we'll try and get this done again and get all four candidates out here. That'd be even fantastic. Our next Lowdown podcast will be July 29th, and it's going to be Sheriff Mike Chitwood, and that should be very interesting.
He's awesome.
I'm sure he's going to have a lot of interesting things to say. I want to talk to him about that new training center. Remember we went to the grand opening, and I want to talk to him about what his thoughts are on us training all our sheriffs and then them leaving and going to work someplace else. And I'm sure he's going to have some comments. Sheriff Chitwood, he's not afraid to let you know what he thinks.
But I love that. I don't want to guess. Just tell me what you're really thinking. Let's deal with it.
That's it.
He'll
Right.
do that.
Right.
Yeah, he is. He's good.
Right.
That's that New York mentality.
Well, thank you
Okay,
guys very much.
so let's wrap it up. Thank you very much, guys. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you,
My
guys.
ears